Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We could just fill in a few of the spaces from in the front, please. Just come forward and fill in the chairs that are. What I didn't do was hand them programs. Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the late start. I know that everybody here would probably have had a long day with the first day of camp, and we appreciate your time, appreciate the time that you have taken to be here. At the end of the day, the youth are the ones that are the beneficiaries of this camp, and that's why it's important for us to be here and to share this information with you. So before we get proceedings rolling, could everyone please stand for the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago? Thank you very much. You may have a seat. I'll do the prayer, that's fine. All right. You can close your eyes and bow your head, everyone. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for the opportunity to be here. We thank you for every single head that is here today, for every single person, oh God, who has contributed to this event today. We thank you for them all, Father. We ask, oh God, Father, that you, oh God, will bless us and keep us in this place, oh God, that you will let your purpose be done, that you will watch over these proceedings, oh God, and help the information to get where it needs to go, Father, that you will reinforce in every single person, oh God, that their contribution is important to what we do here, Lord, and that above all, that your will be done. And we ask you for traveling mercies, oh God, at the end of proceedings as everyone leaves to go home. We pray this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So now we get to the formal, but hopefully not too long, part of this proceedings. Honorable Chamfa Cudjoe, Minister of Sport and Community Development. Honorable Ayanna Webster Roy, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister. Ms. Shelley Trim, Administrator in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. Mr. Jomo Pitt, Director of Sport TT. Ms. Diane Antwine, Director of Sport ET, Mr. Marcus Daniel, Director of Sport ET, Mrs. Lindell Sanchez Hoyt, Director of Sport in the Division of Community Development, Youth Development, and Sport. Ms. Pietra Gay, Sport Development Officer 2, Division of Community Development, Youth Development, and Sport. Coaches, camp staff, members of the media, especially invited guests, good afternoon to you. It is my pleasure today to officially welcome you to the Youth Sport Camp 2023. This event started way back, I think, in 2008, and it was meant to do a number of things. One, to assist with sport development in Trinidad and Tobago. Two, to get kids the opportunity to learn sport skills and long life skills that will serve them for the rest of their lives. Three, to encourage kids to be active, to be physically active, and to engage in positive activity that will aid their holistic development. And I could go on. That makes your presence here today very, very important, because each of us will play a role in development of our young people and in development of sport within the country. So we thank you very much for being here. Now, before we go into the program, I would like to ask one of the coaches who has been to your sport, who has administered youth sport camp before, to give us a little bit of an overview of his experience where camp is concerned and some of the important things that he might have learned or seen during his time as a coach at Sport Youth Camp. So we asked Mr. Curtis Moses to come up and say a few words. Thank you.
Pleasant good afternoon to the head table. Pleasant good afternoon to all the hardworking coaches. Pleasant good afternoon to the media. I have been coaching in the camp for a number of years, and I think it's a very good initiative. I am so happy to see so many kids off the street doing something constructive, and I want to say kudos to the group that put in this initiative together. Some of the kids are so excited when they come to the camp. Sometimes when they reach, they're like, Coach, could we get a ball to go and play? And we say, no, we had to start with a prayer. We need to do things the right way. And in my heart, I'm so happy to see that these kids are so happy, right? And this year, I decided to do something a bit different. Coaches, I'm asking you to be on board with me with this. I think we need to not only teach them about sport on the field, but we could do more classroom session with these boys and girls, because what we don't want is when our kids go to university and the coaches doing a blackboard session, we don't want them looking lost at all. All right? So, coaches, I'm asking you to please be on board with me with this. Let us do some blackboard sessions with them and help them to go forward and enjoy the camp. And most important, please, let us make it fun and enjoyment for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you very much. And I agree and I share your sentiments in terms of the importance of looking at them as not just 2 weeks of training kids or teaching them sports skills, but understanding that one moment can change a life. And you have 10 days, I believe it is, with these kids that could have many life-changing moments. So thank you very much, and that is much appreciated. So now that we have had the insight from Coach Moses, we would like to have Director Diane Antwine, who's the Director of Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago, to come and give us a little bit of a briefing in terms of the camp and the sport TT's perspective where the camp is concerned. So, Director Antwine.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Freitas, members of the head table, especially Ms. Shamfa Kajul, Minister of Sport, and my fellow director, Mr. Pitt, and Mr. Daniel. Could I ask for all protocols being observed as they have been observed before? I must say thank you very much for being here this afternoon, especially the members of the media. I have the honor of being a director of Sport TT. And one of our goals, and I think what we look forward to and we spend a lot of time in discussion with, is how to develop our sports persons in Trinidad and Tobago. And we are not talking about our elite persons. We are speaking about what we could talk about mass participation. And it's a good thing that the minister is involved with sport. Her ministry is sport and community development. Because Sport TT believes that sport is a great avenue in which to develop our community. The use of sport, regardless of what, because Sport TT is responsible for 15 organizations, but the Ministry of Sport is responsible for all sport in Trinidad and Tobago. And we were very happy when the minister agreed to put a substantial amount of money into the sports camp this year. And if you know, our Minister of Finance always saying that, we don't have plenty money, but she has agreed and she has recognized the need to spend money on development of sport. So, Minister, I don't want to speak on behalf of my chairman, but I really want to say thank you very much for allowing Sport TT the opportunity to do something with our youngsters so that they can develop. And just as what Mr. Moses is saying, we want this sport camp, and this is one of the things that Sport TT want. Use of sport to teach life skills. So coaches, when the children are with you, you are not looking for the next Atto Bolden or the next Dwight York. We are looking to impart with them the kind of principles that will cause them to be good citizens. You have to be role models. You have to be mentors. In Sport TT, we recognize that sometimes those children who are coming to you, as Mr. Moses says, might be the only friendly face they may see in their entire day. Might be the only person who might give them a positive word. No, we ain't talking about the food they'll get, because you know some of them coming for the food. I was talking to Petra, one of your officers yesterday in swimming, and he was saying he remembered the time when food wasn't, lunches weren't provided, and the attendance was kind of low. So you see, things like these that we take for granted assist so much in the development of our children. So Sport TT vision is that we use sport to build a good citizen. We use sport to develop our community. And the minister has allowed these funds to be used for that measure in Tobago. So Sport TT, again, just wants to thank her, and we want to thank the director and Ms. Gay and the administrator of the Tobago House of Assembly for assisting us in putting in these camps, because they are doing the legwork. And we appreciate that. So once again, thank you very much. We do hope that all our coaches, at the end of these 2 weeks, will have made a positive impact on the life of our children so that Tobago will stand to benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Antoine, for your wonderful insight, as usual. So the next person that will bring some remarks on behalf of the Sports Company of Trinidad and Tobago, I barely need to introduce him. He's been around and involved in sport for so long that everybody knows Mr. Jomo Pitt.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Short and brief, as usual. The Minister of the Ministers, the Directors, the Minister in the Prime Minister's office, niceness from country, all protocols observed in front, the Administrator, the Director, Ms. Petragi, the other SDOs in the House, the coaches. I want to echo, or I am echoing the sentiments extended by Director Antoine and also the MC, Mr. De Freitas, and also Coach Moses. On a side note, you make me proud, man. You from Lambo, man. Yeah. You from Lambo. Yeah. You know, but on a serious note, I went to a couple of the camps this morning, and I was very happy that despite the weather conditions, the enthusiasm displayed by the children, the participants, gives an indication of how much they are looking forward to this. Minister Kojo, I want to commend you that you ensured that this national program, that Tobago was included, and not only included, but if you want to use this as your flagship to make this thing happen throughout the country. We have a responsibility to deliver on this. The administrator and your staff, thank you so much for coming on board and collaborating with the Sport TT and the Ministry of Sport to make this thing a reality. Coaches, you're giving us stipend. Let's be honest. We could not pay you what you really deserve for being out there for the next 10 days. I myself have tried coaching. Man must know thyself. I can't do it. Today was an okay day. We had rain, overcast and stuff, but I know if all goes well, we'll have the blistering sun that we had last week. And it would be expected that you all be out there, and I am confident that you would deliver and not disappoint the children who would be looking forward to coming to camp every day, if not before time, waiting for coaches. You have a responsibility, as Director Antoine pointed out, that they be looking up to you. Make sure that they look up to somebody that they could say, that was my coach. I know that coach and I know him personally. And then she also said, many of you may be the one friendly face, confident that they may have for the day. Please take that responsibility seriously and treasure it. Some of them may end up remembering this years to come, and it may impact them to do the same going forward for some youngster in the next generation. So again, to all involved in this initiative, thank you so much, and wish you all the best for the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Pitt. Even the introductions have to be brief. Yeah, so even though I know that, still, it's an experience. So thank you very much again. Now, I know you would have seen me chatting with the minister earlier. And that's a frequent thing, because the one thing I have learned about minister in the short period of time that I've interacted with her is how important success is to her, is how important having these events is to her. Not just having an event, not just having a launch, not just having a camp, but impact. Where is the impact is the question that we are always asked, and if we do not come up to scratch, then we will hear about it, and we will be challenged to do better. So for me, it is always a challenge to put my best foot forward, Not just because I have to, but because when you sign up for this job, you sign up for it because you want to do something better, you want to learn, you want to grow, you want to share, you want to impact somebody else. So it's always good and it's always positive to get that drive, to get those questions. What are you doing? Are you doing XYZ? What is the impact that you are having? And I can say that much that I appreciate. I know that Minister Kojo, the one thing I know about her, even before, I've lived in Tobago for 10 years, and even before actually interacting with her, I know that she is passionate about youth development, Tobago development, I've said it before, and sport development. And so I am always happy when I have the opportunity to introduce her and have her to really bring that home in her own indomitable style. So without any further ado, I will invite Honorable Minister Shamfa Kojo to come to the podium and bring you her remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A hearty good evening to all of you gathered. It's a real pleasure and privilege to share with you this evening. I want to recognize my sister in service, Minister Ayana Webster Roy, a real trooper. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up for Tobago once again. I want to still recognize in their absence Secretary Baines, Terence Baines, who was invited but's not here. Assistant Secretary Rain Clark, who was invited but's not here for some reason or the other. The administrator, Ms. Trim, is here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Director Hoyt Sanchez is here. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Sport T, which is the implementation arm of the Ministry of Sport and Community Development. We have 3 directors from Tobago on the board in the persons of Mr. Marcus Daniel, Mr. Jomo Pitt, and Ms. Diane Antwine. I want you to put your hands together for these 3 persons. Sport in Tobago is under the Tobago House of Assembly. It's a Schedule 5 matter. The Ministry of Sport and Community Development, we work primarily in Trinidad. Yes, we offer services to Tobago. No, we're not responsible for developing facilities here. All of that is under the Tobago House of Assembly. So your indoor sporting facility, that's Tobago House of Assembly. Your Goodwood Pavilion, that's Tobago House of Assembly. Whatever is taking place down in Bonaccord, the field down there, that's Tobago House of Assembly. So as much as people may come to me to intervene and to tell the Assembly do this and to tell the Assembly do that, that is under the remit of the Tobago House of Assembly. But whilst I can't build for you physical infrastructure, or should I say, the only physical infrastructure that I'm responsible for in Tobago that's related to sport is the Dwight York Stadium, which is currently being refurbished, and the intention is, upon completion, to hand over to the Tobago House of Assembly when we get this thing to the place that it needs to be, refurbishing the gym, equipping the gym, furnishing the offices and the media rooms and so on. The intention is to hand it over to the Tobago House of Assembly. Whilst we can't build infrastructure here because it's not under our remit, we can support programs and extend whatever programs are offered nationally or in Trinidad to you here in Tobago. So for me, it's a real pleasure to be able to extend whatever sporting program we have in Trinidad. I try to make it my business to extend it to Tobago, because whilst politics and politicians do what they do, people who are passionate about sport, who understand the true impact of sport, we must do what we must, because we have a duty to build the people and to build our communities and to truly maximize the full potential of sport, because we know what sport can do. We have seen sport work for us as a people, as a community, time and time again, and provide professional and personal development for youngsters, for grown folk who are officials, who are coaches. I remember meeting the national netball team for the first time, the young ones. A couple months ago, they were leaving to go to, I think it's a Pan-American or an American circuit of a league. I don't remember what it was. Was it Dominica? No, they were going to Dominica. Was it Dominica they were going to? They were going to one of these countries, and for some of the young girls, 16 and 17-year-old, was the first time boarding a plane, was the first time leaving Trinidad and Tobago. And it was remarkable to see what sport was doing for them, exposing them to a world of opportunities, taking them out of places like Mova and Beetham and Laventille to meet other people and to see what the coaches and the administrators, the managers in the netball team were doing in teaching them to dress well, helping them with deportment, teaching them manners and stuff. And these are some qualities and characteristics and values that they're learning through sport that they would not have learned at home, in their communities, and in the circumstances to which they have become accustomed. So it's important for us to recognize and hail sport for what it does. We saw what Commonwealth Youth Games have done for us. As much as the politicians trampled and who didn't want to meet and refused to show up and refused to talk, Trinbagonians showed up. Trinbagonians showed out. People came out in their drones to volunteer. Over 1,800 volunteers showed up because they understand and they believe in the power of sport. And as we gathered, we experienced things that we wouldn't have experienced in Tobago outside of this Commonwealth Youth Games environment. Whenever Fiji played, whether they won or lost, they sat in a tub of water and sang and sang and sing and sing. I'd never seen that before. Yes? And it united them and bonded them in a way like nothing else could. You saw teamwork, you saw discipline, you saw time management, you developed friends for volunteers. Whether you're an athlete or not, you met new friends. And you learn new way of doing things, and now you can write to somebody and visit somebody. Sport has that power to do for people what we as politicians can't. You, the sportsmen, you, the athletes, you, the coaches, you know how to reach and touch people in your community like I can't. So I say, behold the power of sport. I salute you for coming forward. When I entered the room, I'm like, why do we have chairs empty? Because in extending this opportunity to Tobago, I know over 1,113 youngsters have signed up and are on board to participate in 13 different camps across Tobago, 15 different sporting disciplines, 67 coaches in Tobago, 10 marshals. That means 77 persons should be seated in this room at least. Yes, that's the statistics for Tobago. In Trinidad, we're talking about 15 different sporting disciplines. We had to cut them at 12. So when we got to 12, we just stopped. 1,200 youngsters already on board. And let me tell you, even though you cap it at 12, in areas like Laventille, where you have swimming and so on, you may start off day one with 60 last year, and by the end of the day, we had over end of that first week, we had over 200 persons. They showed up, and the TTDF worked with them, and we provided meals for them, and some of them remained in the program when the school term started because we continued to extend that service to those areas. And that's what sport really is about. Do they know who their representative is? Do they care? Maybe, maybe not. But at the end of the day, sport is more powerful than you and me. And those of us who are blessed with this ability to bless others and to touch others with sport, we have a duty to do so. Yes? Politics and politicians do what they do, but we must do what we must. People who know sport, people who understand sport, people who understand the potential of sport. Because there are many of you in your communities who know youngsters who went to school and didn't get their full certificate and now doing something else, or those who dropped out. But you know how Bethel Village changed when we provided lights to the football field. Yeah? We know how Bethel Village changed when we placed the basketball court there and what it means to the people. And those of you in communities that have well-functioning facilities, you know what sport does for your community. So don't be distracted. Doesn't redound to the benefit of Tobagonian. We have a to do. All of us just passing through. All of us just passing through. Politician, coach, manager, all of us just passing through. But when God gives you this opportunity, He open your eyes this morning and give you health and strength. Yeah? It's because He's saying to you, there is some work here for you to do. You have to go out there and represent God in His image and His likeness to the best of your potential and bless all those who you can bless. Yeah, I wish I could run as fast and kick ball and catch and think. I would be the first to tell you, I ain't no athlete. I run for my personal health. But those of you who have the ability and the patience to coach, to manage, to lead, to guide, it's a special blessing. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't underestimate your power, and don't abdicate your responsibility in your community and in Tobago. All of us just passing through, we would come and go, but we are building a Tobago, and we are building a Bethel and a Lambo and a Plymouth and a Golden Lane. That's our responsibility. And if we don't do the work, nobody is going to come from outside and do it for you. Yes? And if we don't take advantage of these opportunities, it is your community that will be destroyed. And if we don't save ourselves, nobody's going to come from outside to save us. We know what sport can do. So I'm happy that even those 60, 77 coaches and marshals and before me, there are those of you who saw it fit, who saw it important to show up and to show out for sports, for young people, for children who need you now more than ever, because there is so much more for them to get involved in. And you don't have to go outside to get in trouble these days. Many of us think our children safe in the bedroom on the iPad or on the tablet. But there's a whole world of other distractions and other trouble going on there too if they're not properly monitored. But if you get a child registered in a sport program, you're making a world of difference for them as for what sport could do to improve their capacity, their competence, their capabilities, building self-confidence. Everybody not going to medal. Everybody not going to be a Jeremy Richards, a Michelle Liai. Everybody not going to be a Nicholas Paul. Yes? But we know that this development is about more than medals. It's about making change in people's lives. It's about transforming communities. It's about building a better Trinidad and Tobago and developing the kind of activity that would cause others to benefit. There are those of you in this room who have village leagues. I know because I have sponsored many. There are many of you who have sporting organizations and sporting programs and activities in sport that you come to the Ministry of Sport and we sponsor. And you know it's not about building a Jeremy Richards. Yeah? You know it's not about building a star person. Yes, we would be able to mold and hone and nurture some athletic abilities. But it's also about the caterer who cater in the snack boxes. It's also about the person selling the soccer bag and the Pennacool and the Gatorade, the economic activity that comes from it. It's also about the Maximan who's going to drive the youngsters to the camp and to the schools. It's also about helping you to develop and shape your ability to manage, to lead. It's also about you being a father figure, a big sister, a mother to somebody who don't have that positive influence or don't get to see that kind of soft nurturing at home. You are filling big shoes And you are not only doing hard work, you're doing hard work. And such is the power of sport. So yes, I called you together not because I like an event or I want to take some pictures. I want you to understand the importance of the work that you have signed up to do. In running a sport program, it's important business, but you see, when you're dealing with children and children, it's very sensitive. In hosting the Commonwealth Youth Games, we're happy to host, yes, but I would say it would have been one of the most difficult challenges, because you're not just hosting a multi-sport event. You're responsible for the safety and security of over 1,000 children. They're children, 14 to 18 years old, and anything could happen. Yes, you want to win medals. There are people who are looking at that. I just want to make sure everybody's safe. Nobody ain't going stray by no beach. Nobody ain't take no drop from no strange person and end up in trouble. That was my worries. You understand? And even as you gather children together to train them, and you may think your personality is fit, you ain't going to interfere with the people's children, God's willing, and we pray so. And I advise you to be as responsible as you possibly can. They are children. They go see each other and like each other and want to stray and go so and go so. You understand what I'm saying? That's important, the safeguarding part that we learned so much about in hosting these Commonwealth Youth Games, and your responsibility as a coach, as a manager, as an administrator, in looking over and guarding and guiding other people's children. So we boil down to 2 weeks. It's only 2 weeks. At one point in time, you heard me say, I don't know if it makes sense to do this for no 2 weeks. And some people call me and say, oh gosh, please let me go ahead and do it. But we have to get beyond having these short-term programs and have programs throughout the year. You see Australia blazing with medals. It's robust year-round sport programs in their schools, in their communities. I'm not a fan of your one-day sport and family day. Yes, it brings communities together, but after that, what? Tobagonians, you have to move beyond that. And building sporting academies, what Sinclair Coaching School used to mean to us. Yeah, what Paradise Hockey Club used to mean to us. Yes, some people are in this thing for the money. And you host a one-day sport and family day or a one-week thing, and you go about your business. But there's work to be done beyond that one day, beyond that 1 week. Back then, when I was growing up on a Saturday, parents send children to a community group or to a sport group, but there was some place to go because there were people volunteering their time and their talent towards nurturing people through sport and community activities, whether it was a dance group. You're not getting the people volunteering anymore. So yes, you have a one-day thing or a one-week thing. We must move beyond that. So this is a start. This is a whetting of the appetite for these youngsters, some of them learning some new sport that they're not familiar with, whether it's boxing, some of them sailing, some of them dragon boat, some hockey, some golf, and so on. It's an opportunity for them to see something new. After that, what? Those of you who are in clubs and in areas of influence, to move towards having a year-round program, that is where your focus should be, towards providing training opportunities for these youngsters to explore through the year, and to teach our children, and to change the perspective of parents and teachers and educators and principals that sports could happen during the school term too. We have a little sickness where we think one sport is for dance children. Yeah, and if you ain't doing your work good, then you could play some sports. And when test time come around, you want to pull the children from sport because that you think that would lower their grade. That is wrong. That is old school. That is backward. Not in 2023. Yes? You have to learn that a better student is a student athlete, because sport gives to them these characteristics that they can learn to manage time. They could learn to win. They could learn to lose. They could learn to pass. They could learn to fail. They could learn to study in groups. Yes, they could learn to share up different tasks and cooperate and so on. Sport teaches you that. My stint in sport has been the most enjoyable one. Because the people in sport know who they are, what they stand for, and they operate by a certain set of rules. They understand fair play. And they understand respect for each other. And I appreciate that very much. So it makes solving the matters among them easier, because from the time you say, okay, what are the rules? Is this in keeping with the rules? And somebody could clearly say, hey, that wasn't in keeping with the rules. And then they ask, is this fair to the other person? They respect those qualities. I get that in sport that I didn't get in other places. You're a different and rare and unique kind of people in the sporting fraternity. And you must be honored, respected, and preserved. Yes? But you also have to remember that responsibility and recognize yourselves and carry yourself as the heroes you are. There is work for us to do. Politicians will do what they do. But at the end of the day, people who know and understand the power of sport, we must do what we must. Because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to come and do it for us. And we have to build communities. We have to build schools. Yeah? We have to develop order and structure in our society to build the Tobago that we want to see. We're all just passing through. And every move that we make contribute to the matrix or contribute to the foundation that we build in for a better and brighter Tobago and a better and brighter tomorrow. So I feel pleased to have the camp. Yes, it's 2 weeks. I'm not happy that it's 2 weeks, but so many things happened during this July-August period, and we didn't want to start and then break for Commonwealth Youth Games and then start again. And then I was saying, okay, well, maybe we should just start something during the school term that was in keeping with the budget that I wanted to see, because I found that the budget was too high for the 2 weeks. But we were able to rework the budget and rework the time, and interestingly get 67 persons on board in Tobago who say we are willing to go the distance. So I want to say heartfelt thanks to you. I thank you very, very much, and you're about to do important work that's needed at this time. We're off to another fun initiative where we've brought in GC Foster from Jamaica to provide some training and guidance to PE teachers, to sport administrators and managers. And this is the first phase of the initiative where we're trying to provide the technical support to ramp up sport in schools and sport in communities, especially in the area of athletics. We're using athletics as the pilot area, and then we'll work it out further to other disciplines. But GC Foster is in Trinidad right now. We wrote to the THA asking them to send some people. We have a couple of Tobagonians on board. For instance, Kelsey is on board. She's from athletics. Kyla is on board. She's from netball, and a couple others. I saw them there this morning. I think Kyla starts tomorrow. But this is just the first in this initiative and the first in these opportunities, and we will come back again and again towards training you to go out there and do important work that has to be done. When a minister changes or a secretary changes, you in the sport fraternity should know your mandate, your role, your purpose, your position and direction that you're heading. That no matter what's happening in the politics, you're out there doing your work. Because you understand who you are, what your work is, and what you ought to do for your community and your people. Understanding your work, knowing your mandate, and going the distance for your community and your people. And that's what it's all about. So once again, I'm happy to make this contribution to Tobago. I'm happy that you are on board. I urge you once again, let's get beyond the 1 day and the 1 week and the short-term things and think more, think bigger, think better for Tobago through sport. The opportunities that can be provided. I can't stand when somebody graduated with a degree in sport and you come home and you say, I'm waiting on a work, I'm waiting for somebody to call me. How? You have to start a sporting academy, register your business, get people on board. Get people on board. It's a lot of communities that need sporting academies and need that kind of help. It's painful for me when you have athletes who have difficulty filling out the grants form. Who among you as sporting personnel would say, okay, I would open a little something where I can help people, guide them in filling out their portfolios. And, you know, a lot of them need that direction. I can speak of many sportsmen from Tobago who They're having difficulties filling out the forms themselves, and they need somebody to coach and guide and walk them in doing so, in representing themselves. Some of them got approached for international opportunities, but they are trying to negotiate for themselves, and they may get tricked, they may get fooled, they may get sidebarred because they don't know how to do that kind of interaction. So it's not only about the work on the field, it's about the work off the field, and utilizing sport to develop capacity and develop opportunities for other people who can help. So yes, somebody may not be an athlete, but they may be an auditor. Because after you get over $100,000 from the Ministry of Sports or anybody else, next time you come back for money, you have to submit an audited a report. Yeah? There are some of you who need simple help in keeping the roster, keeping the register, calling parents, making sure people on board, making sure children get home safe. There is space for everybody, an opportunity for everybody in sport. If we open our minds, we plan, we strategize, we unite and remember what we're called to do, which is to maximize the full potential of sport, which has the opportunity, which has the ability to do what so many other things and so many other people can't. Unite people, transform lives and communities for the better, build confidence, capacity, capability, and competence, and develop Trinidad and Tobago to what we wanted to see. So I say cheers to the heroes, the champions, the 77 of you who have offered yourself to service. For service, I look forward to a fulfilling 2 weeks with you and a rewarding future, because I expect more to come out of these camps and this opportunity. So to the directors from Sport TT, to the coaches, the managers, Tobago House of Assembly, Ms. Gay, who called me and said, please, we have so many people on board, we can't stop it. We have 2 weeks, let's make the best of it. And let's think beyond 2 weeks. What can we do during the term to keep this thing running, to give people the opportunity? Before I close, I want to talk to you about inclusiveness and the role of sport in inclusiveness. Sometimes we think about inclusion as people who are physically disabled and so on, and we need to bring them in. Sometimes we think about inclusion as we need to bring in women and girls, but I want to talk to you about bringing in poor people, children. You saw the games from some countries where you expected to see a larger delegation or a larger makeup of the delegation, you didn't see. God alone knows the reasons. But we know some of what we see right here in Trinidad and Tobago, of parents who don't have the money to keep their children engaged in sport. And we all have a responsibility to treat with that, because you as administrator, yeah, as managers, when I say sport administrators, managers, you're seeing youngsters within your club that don't have spikes, that don't have this, that don't have that, and you wouldn't organize yourself to apply for funding on time or to reach out to private sector for help. That's one. Another thing is, sometimes you reach out late, and because you reach out late, the money coming to you late. But because you reach out 4 weeks before the event, you know you're not getting money before 8 weeks. So then you're asking parents to put up, to throw in some. There are some parents that don't have the money to throw in. In some sporting disciplines, they tell them, throw in the money and we're going to pay you back. If you don't have the money in the first place to throw in, we don't care about your paying back later when you get the money. So you're excluding poor people, children, from participating in sport. And then you go out there and you see a national team going here and there, not really the best of your talent, but the best of parents who can pay. You with me? You understand? So we have a role. Just because you can manage coaching and so on, don't mean you can manage a sport club. Sometimes you need an administrative person to do that thing. Think about sport as a business. Because if you don't organize yourself to work the thing properly, you're spoiling the opportunity for a lot of youngsters who depend on you to do your administrative work properly. I've seen it. right here among clubs in Tobago. Yeah? When you don't do what you're supposed to be on time, you robbing a lot of youngsters who don't have the money. Their parents don't have the money to take advantage of the opportunity. So there's work to do. There's work for all of us to do. But we must do what we must. Yes? To develop sport, to develop our people and our economy through sport, and to take Tobago to what it needs to be. We saw the possibilities. We saw the potential. How do we keep that fire burning and that momentum after Commonwealth Youth Games? People hungry for it right now. But it takes grit and it takes guts. It takes determination and perseverance. I think I've said enough. I want to thank all of you. God bless you. There's work to do. Let's get the work done. God bless our nation. Thank you.
All right, folks, what did I tell you? Passion, power, youth development, Tobago development, sport development. So there's not much to say after that. There's not much left that I could say. I think I think she spoke for all of us and to all of us in terms of what is needed and the power of sport and what it can do, or what it can drive, the kind of change it can drive if we make sure that there is opportunity for everybody to be able to participate. And I believe that is the spirit of the youth sport camps. At least that's how I see it. I believe as the spirit, and that's what the sport company has been driving. And hopefully we can see that grow and blossom here in Tobago, as well as in Trinidad and Tobago, and we can see an impact from that as well. So thank you very much, Minister, for outlining so much in so much detail that this is not just a one-off. This is just the beginning of an extension of things to try and drive sport development, and that makes the roles of each and every one of you coaches even more important, because you are playing a part, you are playing a role, you are a part of the whole. And so we appreciate you again for being here. We appreciate you for taking the time, and we thank you, Minister, for going through that detail. I hope that in all that she has said, that we are all able to take a nugget of that for ourselves going forward, and that it would drive what we do and what we are capable of doing, what we do over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully beyond. So thank you very much for that. So now, before we close off, I'm going to ask the media if they have any questions for Minister.
Going once, going twice.
Liz, no questions? Wow. Okay, so that's not such a bad day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes?
Yes, so I would just like to say one final thank you for the coaches and the staff. Thank you for the THA representatives for being here. Know that your contribution is very much appreciated. Minister Webster, Roy, for so graciously attending and being here. Sport TT directors, and of course, Honorable Minister Shamfa Kojo, for your part to play. Not just for funding this, but for being here to share it with Tobago. I think it's very special that we are sharing it with Tobago. That's it for me. I want to thank you, everybody, for being here. Madam Minister. Yes, we do have refresh.